Hey, WokeNFree Nation, Newsly is an audio app for iOS and Android. It picks up web articles about the most trending topics on the web at any given moment and reads them to you in a natural human voice.
For the first time in the history of the internet, the entire web becomes listenable. Browse articles from topics you choose and start playing. Stop scrolling, start listening.
You can follow any topic as specific as you like, from sports, science to Bitcoin, or even one of your favorite celebrities. It will find you the latest articles and read them to you aloud.
And they have podcasts as well. Explore trending podcasts from over 50 countries. Our podcast, WokeNFree, is there too.
Now let's get into the episode. Hi, it's Natasha.
And Khalil.
We are the co-hosts of
WokeNFree.
Thank you for tuning in to our 297th episode of WokeNFree. If you've been tuning in every week for WokeNFree Wednesday, you know that WokeNFree is all about being real and honest with each other and you. We talk about everything and anything important to us, you, the world, and nothing is off the table. This week, it's going to be a very fun episode, but also very honest episode where we talk about the truth about being a stay-at-home dad. There you go.
Yeah.
So, before we dive deep into that, first, a couple of things to cover. First, have you downloaded this episode on WokeNFree.com? If you listen to it from there, yay, but we got to make sure we download the episode, because if you download it with the app, then you're able to put in your comments. So all you stay-at-home dads, we want to hear from you. All of you thinking about becoming stay-at-home dads, we want to hear from you. And all of you who are just like, say what? We want to hear from you. So that's the best way to do that. Now, if you listen to podcasts on a device where you can't download another app, which would be upsetting a little bit, but that's okay. What you can then do is go to WokeNFree.com and then go in the Listen tab and then pick your platform of choice where you're going to support the show. So you can catch the show on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Play, subscribe to our YouTube channel, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora. It's a WokeNFree world. So where most podcasts are consumed, you'll find the show. Now, on WokeNFree.com, don't forget to click to subscribe to follow the show through Podbean as well. And on social media, we'd love to hear from you on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest, and LinkedIn at WokeNFree. And lastly, if you have 90 seconds, more of a statement, less of a question, would love for you to review the show. So go to WokeNFree.com, go on the Listen tab, and then pick your platform of choice where you're going to give us those 5-star reviews. Thank you very much. Kicking it to you, Takako.
Okay, so then I'll take it from here. Before starting the conversation, we'd like to share a little bit about ourselves. This week we're asking, would you rather watch the Summer or Winter Olympics?
I really feel like you've asked that already. So that's
interesting to think that.
For me, I would say, I believe my answer would be summer. But my favorite thing about the Olympics is usually gymnastics. As long as gymnastics is in both, then I would have no preference. But if I had to choose, I would choose summer.
So you choose the summer for gymnastics, or
I like summer just generally because winter sports are cool. But as you know, I'm not a fan of like this season winter, so I prefer just the season of summer, and so I think my preference would just lie with that as well. But I was just saying that typically for Olympics, I just really love gymnastics.
Okay. Now, I think I go with Summer Olympics because there's more variety of sports compared to the Winter Olympics. I don't know, the Winter Olympics seem like it's all kind of around snow and stuff, so I go with the Summer Olympics because it's kind of weather independent. Because winter, you gotta, some of those Winter Olympics, the sports that they do actually, you need snow, and the Summer Olympics I think that's a little more free form, and you can get to see, I don't know, it kind of focuses more on individual talent compared to the Winter Olympics. That's just my opinion. I mean, some people might prefer it, but I just like the different events that they have there. I think it's a better show of talent. And speaking of show of talent, you know, being a stay-at-home dad, I think that should be a sport too, right? I don't know if it would be a summer or winter sport. Maybe it's both.
I think all year long.
Yeah, so see, they should add that event, and then maybe both of them could have a ton more people compete. And I guess you might have to let the listeners know what are the truths about being a stay-at-home dad.
That's
even though
amazing.
you're a mom.
Working mom. Isn't that awesome? I knew you'd love that. I knew you'd love that to have me
we could hear what
come in just to speak on something I know nothing about.
Yeah, we could see what your thoughts are. Because it's like,
everyone has an opinion about everything.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, that's what WokeNFree is about,
exactly.
though. We talk on stuff that we're not the expert or... We're not even doing that. Yeah, we can have thoughts on things.
Absolutely. Well, I live in a house where I get to observe a stay-at-home dad, which is you. So I have an observation of this experience. But yes, I identify as a woman, and I'm unfortunately not a stay-at-home dad. So I can't speak from that narrative. But what I can share is some interesting info that I found on Forbes, where, according to the Pew Research Center, an estimated 2.1 million fathers were stay-at-home dads in 2021, which is up 8% from 1989. And this increase is attributed in large part to women out-earning their male partners. And as women increasingly earn more money than men, they become the sole breadwinners in some households since the 1990s. Women have surpassed men in receiving bachelor degrees each year. The number of women pursuing higher education continually increased over the last 40 years. And also the numbers outpace men when it comes to both college and enrollment and graduation. So essentially speaking to the fact that there are some economic reasons driving why there are more stay-at-home dads potentially. And I thought that was kind of interesting. I'm not sure if everyone knew that. I didn't know that was the case. And then I guess other types of truths I would say. I think I'll leave it to you to drop some knowledge now. What are some truth bombs to think about?
Oh, you'll leave it to the actual stay-at-home dad
to observe,
give some things you observe. I like that observing thing. It just seems different to me. It seems like an episode of Black Mirror that I'm just inside of a box and you're just watching from afar.
Creepy.
That's what it seems like when you say observing. I don't think of it like that, but... Oh. Yeah, I think really?
that.
I don't think of me being observed. I think
I'm not observing you. I'm observing the act of parenting from the perspective of a stay-at-home dad.
Wow,
not like you're some type of scientific animal under some study.
You're taking notes though in your journal about it, possibly.
No, definitely not.
All right, so it's
mostly visual assessment, and then also
the word choice.
If there are something that I agree or disagree with, you'll hear my mouth about it. But that's about it.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe I can
live with that.
Tolerate
Keep going.
That type of observance. So a truth is that men can raise children, because I don't know if that's said enough or even thought about enough.
That's a powerful statement.
So keep that in mind. Stay-at-home dads can actually raise children. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be, a mom to do that. The second thing is that the men or stay-at-home dads can do household chores. Mm. It's not always... They still try to sell a lot of commercials that only the women are doing household chores, but men can do that too. Anybody can do it, right? Yeah. I mean, especially if even people that are living on your own do it. So
exactly,
come on, we all can do that. Another one is that men, they can actually get some quality credit for staying at home and not working a traditional job, because oftentimes people they look down on that, but it doesn't make sense when men can do a good job raising kids. So it's not always about, what job do you have? I mean, if you're a stay-at-home dad, that's the job in and of itself. So
thank you very much.
You can definitely give them their props for that.
Absolutely.
It's always appreciated.
Absolutely.
And then we're going to ask you just to see what you think, what is needed to succeed as a stay-at-home dad.
Curious you should ask. So again, through my observation, I would say some of the following things that I think are needed to be a successful stay-at-home dad. Endless patience. Children will drive you up the wall in the best of ways and the worst of ways. So having a temperament where you can either be empathetic and or at least understanding for the lack of patience that children have is going to really help the journey as a stay-at-home father. Now, resources that can help with academic development, playtime, increases peace in the household. So if you're a stay-at-home dad, does that mean that the baby's on you 24/7? No. To your earlier points, stay-at-home fathers, similar to mothers, you have to do chores, have to do laundry, all those things. So whenever you can have more money or resources to be able to have the child be stimulated so that the parent can wash a dish or wash some clothes, that would be really helpful. And then also having the ability to be supported. So even though you are the stay-at-home dad, you're not alone in this journey. You didn't make this baby by yourself. So thus, it's helpful to have another person or people to be able to support you. And in your case, it's, you and I, sir. But for others, it's them and Nana and Pop and all this other stuff. But no matter what, even having children means that a village of support is needed, whether that's your bio family, your chosen family, however you want to go about it.
A paid for family.
Or paid for services. No matter what, you need a village to raise a child.
Yeah. All right. Those are good ones coming from an observer.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, when I think of observer, now I'm thinking of the observer
from
Fringe. Yeah.
How did you know I was going to say that? Because you're predictable.
How did you know I was going to say that? Because you're
predictable.
That's so strange. I could have said anything, though.
I know your mind.
Because there's the Observer, even in, I think Marvel has somebody called the Observer.
I know your mind, though.
You knew that I had to go to Fringe.
Always.
You're just time traveling, seeing what's going on.
Exactly.
That's what it seems like. But
okay.
What I think that's needed to succeed as a stay-at-home dad is the first thing is ability to sacrifice things that you took for granted.
Oof.
Like a good night's sleep. So that could be an example. Oof. Like you might have just said, "Oh, that's easy. When I go to bed, I get my sleep. That's it." And you could control when you go to bed, right? When you're not a stay-at-home dad, you just do that. But that's things got to change. Things like that change. And you probably took it for granted, too. So just realize that. The next thing is you need to be ready to change kind of like preconceptions on how people should act. And when I'm talking about people, I'm talking about little people.
Children.
So, yeah, you might expect children to behave a certain way, but that's not how it really goes. And every child's different, so
facts.
It's something that you're just going to have to learn and accept and not just... And don't try to force your child to be what you
want them to be,
or what you thought they should be, because people kind of tell you how children should act. I mean, you see that every day, how people expect people to act, but you can't put those same parameters on children. The next thing is that you have to have tolerance for insubordination.
Yes, sir.
So the children, especially when they're young, they're not going to listen, and you got to just be ready to bear with that and not. And not, like, take it personal, basically. You gotta just say, it's gonna happen, and you'll figure out how to deal with it. And I recommend not hitting your children, because that's abusive in my...
Yes, there's a little bit of judgment in here. Yes.
I'm just saying it is.
But yeah, we don't support violence towards children or people generally.
I don't think that's the answer. So if you're doing that, that's not... I don't think you're really dealing with it.
Opportunities to parent different,
The next thing is that you gotta have a willingness to get messy with diapers and food, because the diapers are just, it'll get messy from time to time. You're just gonna have that happen. And with food, kids like to throw food, so food's gonna go everywhere. Just be prepared for that.
Yep.
And then to kind of wrap everything up, you need to just be adaptable to anything that comes up. And it's even things like if you're used to having your kicks like nice and fresh, just be used to them having spots on them. Because with children, they're going to drop stuff on it, and you won't even get a chance to clean it because you're chasing after them to the next thing. Mess, so you're going to actually you might walk around with messes on yourself now, and you got to be okay with that and just adapt to it and say, that is what it is. I have this grease stain, and I always have a grease stain somewhere because of my child. They're just going to get me messy.
It is what it is. Yep.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful stuff here. So what would you say are the biggest challenges to date that you have observed, lived, and seen as a stay-at-home dad?
The number one, and that's every stay-at-home dad will have this problem, is that they don't have a breast to feed the child.
You don't make any sense.
So we don't have a built-in food system. So it's definitely going to be that's numero uno challenge.
Absent formula, you're suggesting.
Formula. I mean, if you're able to produce formula from your body, you're not human.
So no, but that's true facts.
Like, I don't know what you are.
Like, are you saying just not having a breast is a problem, or are you saying like
not having a built-in food system
to absent like formula? Because there are other ways to feed children.
Oh no, that's milk. I know there's other way, but I'm just saying it's no matter what you don't even have that option. You don't have a built-in food system for your child, but a stay-at-home, I'm thinking of it practically. A stay-at-home mom has a built-in, I mean...
Not necessarily. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
It's not necessary, but guaranteed, no matter what, your stay-at-home dad does not have a breast to feed the child. You don't have that. Yeah. So that's just a challenge that all stay-at-home dads will have. They can't do that. So that's something to think about. But you probably already know it.
Such is life.
But I have to state it because it is the actual big challenge. The next thing is that getting chores done while watching a child is easier said than done. You think that I'm just watching, one child, I can do a lot of stuff at home. Well, maybe when they're really young, but once they're getting to a stage where you can't really do as much.
Once they're mobile.
Yeah, so you got to watch them more than you can actually do the chores. It's like a balancing act because you still want to do some cleaning so it doesn't become a whole mess at home, but it's not easy to do, so it's a challenge. The next thing is taking long phone calls. I mean, you're probably not going to do that, actually. Just taking phone calls in general is hard, but long ones, I mean, that's rough because your child wants attention. So you taking the phone call takes the attention off the child.
They sometimes can be mini narcissists and, we want the phone and get angry.
It can be a problem. The next thing is getting the recommended amount of sleep. So you go back to that sleep thing. I mean, maybe if you have nothing else to do, then you might be able to do it.
Get that 7 to 8 hours, but
it's going to be really tough, and then especially depending on their sleep habits, the child can
be disrupted.
Might wake up, and then you got to take care of them, so it can disrupt your sleep. Another thing is that there's certain foods that you can't actually share with your child. You got to be careful, right? They can't have
alcoholic beverages.
Yeah, well, obviously that. But then there's certain spicy foods you won't want them to have too. You don't want them to have a ghost pepper. So be careful. Carolina Reaper, things like that are not the best for children. Next thing is that it's hard to discipline a young child. How do you let them know that they're wrong without violence? It's not an easy thing.
Because they're still trying to grasp language. And so how are they understanding?
Trying to connect the dots. You try to connect the dots with them, and even when you do connect the dots, they might just say, "Well, I want to do what I want to do," in their mind, right? So that's why it's still hard. Even though they do have, even with the understanding of what you're saying, they may just not agree with it, and they don't know why they should agree with it. So how do you get that across? It's a challenge. And the last thing is just having time to reflect on anything. You don't really, I mean, most of your time's taken up. So do you have time to just look back and say, what were my wins and what were my losses? And, do you have time to think about what is the meaning of life? I don't know if you have that time anymore. Come on. No, but I'm saying you don't. If you wanted to think about what the meaning of life is, do that before you become a stay-at-home dad.
Do that in the toilet for 2 minutes for the day. That's all you get. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess you can try to do it there, but that's going to be hard. You can't really reflect as much with the
it's not ideal, for sure.
with the ambiance of a bathroom.
Ugh. Gross. Okay. So, you think of it. To answer the question, as a working mom who observes a stay-at-home dad, just to give clarification, I would say children's temperament make it easier or harder depending upon how their behaviors and their attitudes are. For stay-at-home dads, I would also say your own temperament as a parent. I've realized
they can make it easier. I don't even see how that.
So
can happen.
If the baby happens to be more calmer or more compliant or docile, then that would make it easier for the stay-at-home dad or parent generally, right? That's what I mean. Their child's temperament can make things escalated, or it can make it complementary to what needs to happen for the day. But children are actually in the driving seat for how that day is going to go, and it's going to be driven by their temperament. I would also say the parent's temperament, specifically the stay-at-home dad. If you are the primary caretaker for the child, if you are not a tolerant person, if you are not a patient person, if you are not an empathetic person, then this journey for you will be pure hell. And that's just as simply as I can state that. And that it is what it is. As a person who grew up in a household where I did not have the most tolerant parent, I unfortunately resemble the intolerance that was geared towards me, and even in our own parenting journey, realized that like there's certain things that are much easier for you to handle and a lot harder for me to handle because I never had the opportunity to have that be tolerated, so I don't even intellectually understand how to handle it. Like it's just outside of my it's like my CPU shuts down. It's just too much for me.
And then you were raised as an only child though,
correct.
too, so certain of those things you didn't go through.
No, exactly. And so even with you may have not experienced the same things KJ, for instance, experienced, but you had a brother and that was younger than you. So you were able to see, similar maybe patterns or behaviors that you see with our own child, where I didn't have that. Any child I saw was compliant. Otherwise, they would be beaten into compliance in my culture. So, it's challenging. And then the ability to also live non-traditional lifestyles. Like for you, you're a stay-at-home dad, but you also consult, and you are, a co-owner of businesses, and a
philosopher.
Facts, exactly. And part-time comedian, you're wearing a lot of different hats.
No, remember, we're leaving that to you, because that's a special surprise for the WokeNFree Nation. It's a surprise, though.
Yes, more to come there. Thank you for that. Yeah. So how do you juggle all of those different hats together? I think that, is really hard for stay-at-home dads. I think it's hard for any parent. And so how do you do that and also make sure your child is nourished and feeling loved and secured? It's just a lot to manage. So, those are some of the things that come to mind for biggest challenges to date.
All right. Those are some good things that you observed.
Yes, and
being the different,
I don't want to speak on your behalf, so I can only speak as an observer.
Yes, from up above,
or in the household. Thank you.
But is that not from up above? I mean, that's where you can observe from.
Where do you think we live, Khalil?
You might be on the observation deck. I don't know where you are.
The observation deck?
Yeah, that's where you reside. Exactly. I don't know. This is how you get the tips, right? Mm-hmm. The stay-at-home dad tips. Here we go, yo. So what's the scenario? It's scenario time. We got peoples. Scenario 1. Dorothea tells her friend with a stay-at-home husband that she needs to place a tracker on his car and phone. She thinks that men who stay at home will always cheat. Do you think she is right in her assertion?
That's hilarious. That's how you wanted to jumpstart this party? Right out of the gate.
Why did I do
You went all the way left field.
Is that the universe speaking?
Said he's not home taking care of a child. He's home taking care of himself. I know that's right. Anyone who knows any parent who is a caretaker of their child, like an actual active participant in taking care of their child, they have too many things to worry about other than taking care of themselves. So I would say that assertion is absolutely not a universal statement. And I would say someone who's going to cheat is going to cheat regardless of their job title.
Wow, good point.
And I think that, it's just that Dorothea needs to, A, stop giving unsolicited advice. We've done an episode on that. And then B, keep your thoughts to yourself unless someone has asked you, hey, do you think my stay-at-home husband is cheating? And then C, why would you be perpetuating that type of negativity over your friend's marriage?
She's trying to look out for her friend. She doesn't want her to get caught out there.
It just seems like...
It's like if someone's driving over a cliff, will you let them do it, or will you tell them, hey, put the brakes?
Yeah, it's just...
It's like that.
But it's a negative assumption, and it just seems very ill thought, and it just seems like it could be problematic for their friendship, and also like you have no desire to get on well with your friend's husband, because the minute he finds out that you said this, he's going to be pissed with you. Right? So, because that's just not cool to say. So, there's a whole lot of issues. This is messy. This is a messy scenario.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, there's people that definitely think like this, and
Mm.
I just think it's definitely all sorts of wrong.
Yes.
So you're not right in, she's not right in her assertion to do that, and nobody's right to do that. I don't think that's the correct manner to go about things. Now, the only thing I would say is, like, if there's more to the story, like, if she saw, if, like, let's say she knew the husband from before or something, even the evidence, but I'm going to, like, something really strong, like, she's known to that person before and known for that person to cheat, kind of, like,
like
in a previous situation. Then it's like,
but then that's because of prior behavior, not because he's a stay-at-home dad. Like,
it's not because of that.
Or if her friend comes to her and says, "Oh my gosh, I saw panties in the floor and it weren't my own." Like, okay, maybe, like, but absent some type of
she can't just use she can't say that. Oh, he's a stay-at-home dad, then this must mean that he's just going to cheat.
Here
that's not.
Just living his best life with his underpants.
I think she's a terrible detective, is what I would think. If
hardly a detective. Yeah.
If that's the first thing you go
back to school.
That's not. Yeah, that's not really gonna work out, and that's not smart to do. Don't do that. And like you said, it is unsolicited advice.
Yep.
And unfortunately, it's bad advice too. Definitely. So why even give it? I mean, this is definitely not needed. It should be good stuff if you want to give some information. It's not this. So not good. Scenario 2. Adelaide is a trust fund baby that works to occupy her time rather than fund her life. Although not married, she has a child on the way with a man who is willing to stay at home. She's currently stressing over if she should stay at home with the child and tell her man to find a hobby, or if she should continue her current job that neither excites her or ignites her.
Wow, those are some really hopeless situations to be in. Okay.
Oh, really?
Ouch.
Oh, wow. You're like between a rock and a hard place?
Yeah, so, I mean, generally, my advice to anyone is if you really do feel that your job neither excites you or ignites you, then there's an opportunity for change and for your career path, regardless of your status of pregnant, not pregnant. Will it be harder to find a job if you're actively pregnant? Probably, but it depends on the organization. Good organizations will make space for people in different life situations. Harder organizations will not. So there are good organizations in the world that will appreciate and celebrate the fact that, hey, you're going to start, but you're going to be out for 3 months and then come back. A good organization will do that.
You say good. That's unfair. Some organizations can't afford that, right?
And that's not the place you need to be. So
but that doesn't mean they're a bad organization.
Doesn't mean you're a bad organization, but it's a bad fit for you.
Yeah, you can say that. Yeah.
So I would say that there's an opportunity for career change because of that language there. And then as for the fact that she's having a baby with a man who isn't her partner in life or whatever, her baby daddy. Like, I think at the end of the day, that's totally fine. I don't know if you were calling that out just to be snarky or if you were trying to call out
just so people can have a relationship.
Okay, gotcha.
Sometimes a stay-at-home dad isn't married, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, gotcha. Okay. So I would say if he is a good caretaker for their child coming to the world, then he should absolutely be able to stay home and take care of the child. I don't think just because she's carrying the child that obligation should be on her to have to care for the child 24/7. I think that you should look at whose temperament and whose abilities lend better for making them the primary caretaker, and that should dictate that. And if they can financially afford for him to stay home and for her to have a job, not have a job, play with dandelions.
Yeah, she can do whatever she wants in life.
If she's financially stable
and take care
enough,
of everybody.
Then it's more about, do you feel like dealing with the joys and the torture that come with being a parent? The primary caretaker as a parent. If you don't, then don't torture yourself. If you can, then deal with that, right? Like, but that's what those are my thoughts. That's another interestingly messy one too. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think in this case, she should contemplate staying at home just because she doesn't like her current job, so she needs to seriously consider, would she like being a stay-at-home mother? I mean, it's possible.
That's a hell of a
And then
shift,
she's got to decide, though, because, see, this is where it gets rough, because there's people that don't like to just both be at home taking care of a child. It can get rough between two people. You're just both trying to take care of the child, and
it's a lot going on there.
You might have, like, fights over that. Well, you're going to have some fights over it, so that's why she's trying to think if she should tell her man to go do something else if she does stay home. So It would be a
But
consideration.
he also is welcome to have life decisions for himself as well, right? Like he if she could say, "Hey, I'm going to stay at home," how do you feel about that? And give him the opportunity to self-identify if he's interested in also staying home or wants. I hate the idea of being like, "Hey,
yeah,
go out and
go
get
do
a
something.
job or do wow."
Because wives do that to retired husbands. They're like, go and do something.
Look at you making generalizations, just painting messy paintings left and right. Oh, okay, you in a real mood today.
No, it's not a mood. It's just about the hormones. Like an idle man is not useful, I think.
Okay, Yoda.
Like the man just has to be doing something. It's just not good because he gets to thinking and you don't know what's going to happen.
He may just actually take care of himself.
Exactly the words perfectly match the situation.
Yep.
So I mean, for me, she has to definitely tell the man to find a hobby if she stays at home.
That is outrageous. Allow people to identify what their life choices are. Don't tell them what their life choices are.
But if you're a trust fund baby, you get to tell people their business.
That is so
I'm not saying it's right, but you can do it, though.
Anyone can do whatever they want. Whether it's right or good is a different story, though.
But it's kind of, well, I know you don't go for it, but it's, do I advise that? So in this case, I advise her to do that because she's the trust fund baby. But it is wrong because remember, I'm different on you. I will advise people to do things that I think are technically wrong to do.
I think that she should do that if she's saying she wants to be home and she doesn't want him on premises. Then she can invite him to not be on premises.
So but that seems worse.
I don't think that I don't think that she should advise it because she happens to be more financially stable than him. I think that that's a real.
But she's going to tell him evacuate the house.
Not evacuate the house, but just say I want to be a stay-at-home mom, and I really, I'm leaning into really doing this and enjoying this space. What are your thoughts on it? Right, like get him to psychologically self-identify. That's how if you can get people to
ask
buy
him if he wants to go drone racing or something.
No, because again, when you try to force ideology upon someone else, they can feel like that they're being forced into it and not really commit and not even do it. So I think psychologically, you actually want to be careful about that, and you want people to figure out their own journey, not you put them in that journey.
That's interesting.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've seen it with you. If I tell you I want you to go do something, if you don't want to, you'll be resistant. But if you somehow figure out that that's the pathway to do, you're more likely to do it.
Really? But I want to do something you told me to do.
No, absolutely not. If you don't want to, no, you're like, okay, and then it's like in one ear, out the next.
But I really would. I mean, my heart of hearts would want to, but
could care less.
Maybe it's just that the mind's not matching the heart.
Maybe. Well, since one is absent, maybe.
One of them takes vacations. That's the thing.
24/7, yeah.
A 24/7 vacation sounds nice.
Sounds like freedom, right?
That's a different type of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Scenario 3. Miriam has 4 children who are raised by her house husband. Another child is on the way, but she wonders if it will be too hard for her husband. Should she surprise the husband with a live-in nanny to ease his burden?
Another sloppy question. What are you suggesting? Who's the nanny for, Khalil?
I knew you would take it that way, too.
What are you saying?
See, look at you taking it that way. You're thinking of scenario 1 now, talking about what are you saying.
My goodness.
See?
To ease his burden.
Yeah.
You tried it. You tried it.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. And house husband? What are you suggesting?
House husband. You watch house husband. You watch House Husbands.
Oh, you mean it's like brother seeking, or what is it?
No, it's nothing
brother
like
husband,
that. No, it's nothing like that. No.
What's a house husband?
A house husband is a stay-at-home husband.
So you want me to call you house husband?
No, because I'm more than that. I'm a philosopher as well.
I'm so tired of you. Okay, fine. So you weren't in trying to insinuate something.
Oh no, because house husband.
I thought you meant like she had her husband, and then she had that like brother husband situation happening, and this is like the brother.
No. That would be a different episode.
Yeah,
I don't think this episode is about that kind of stuff.
Whoa,
that's a little bit.
What are you saying? Okay.
Yeah, that would take
not
the
that I'm
focus
saying
off.
That's not appropriate. I'm just saying that's really
that's
wild
a different
and
episode,
a little bit different for me. I'd have to wrap my mind around it a little bit.
Well, because I have an opinion on that, so that
it's a little
I don't want to bring that in here.
We're going a little bit different here, then.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a monogamous relationship with 4 children being raised by these 2 people in a monogamous relationship.
Yes.
He's at home. and should she surprise him with the fourth, being that she's pregnant with their fourth child, or fifth child, I guess, right?
Yeah, this
fifth
is
child,
fifth.
yeah.
So just
should
taking
she
that into account.
surprise him with a nanny because
he's raising 4 children
already
alone.
Yeah. Interesting. I don't know. I don't like how this is being phrased. It seems super sketch.
The phrasing should not be what the phrasing shouldn't get you.
Yeah, it's like
you have to look at the scenario in spirit.
Worded. I feel like we're doing different things.
Think about
here.
the spirit of the scenario.
I'm definitely thinking about the spirit.
Okay,
of this,
good.
And I'm feeling very confrontational.
See, that's so wrong to do that. I mean, that's not right.
But if you're gonna keep this on the up and up, and this isn't to satisfy or help him, it is
to satisfy and help him.
I bet it is.
Yeah, he's raising 4 children.
I bet he is.
Yeah. No, he is. It's not a fraud. He actually is raising them.
Okay, fine. If the nanny is to really care for the child, but
I don't know what else a nanny would do. What else can a nanny do besides help with children? Okay. Oh, you're right. They can do chores around the house. You're right.
That's a household manager, actually. Get your life right.
But some nannies do more, though, right?
But why does she have to be a live-in nanny, though? Can you just explain this piece of it?
Oh, why is it living? Because
there's so many children.
24 access to these kids because these kids is it's 4 kids.
And also to clarify, the nannies to help with the 5th baby and also the other 4 children. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So fine. In theory,
that's 5 kids.
In theory, if this is actually on the up and up here, and
even if it's on the down and down, I mean, at least you get help with the 5 kids.
I bet you do. I bet you get a lot of help. But if we're not being sketch here. And
you say it's not sketch. This seems like a good idea no matter what.
Mind is, though.
My mind's not anywhere except making sure these kids get the attention they need.
I bet they do, yeah. So yes, fine. But I don't know if we talk about surprising because this is a financial cost.
Now that's interesting, yeah.
And I think that any type of major financial cost should be discussed between the people in that relationship because I know I personally am not a fan of financial surprises. And also I just think from an honesty perspective, as opposed to surprising someone, we should just be keeping things on the open and honest transparency. That way that people don't feel put off guard, and also that that the finances make sense because I might want to surprise you with something, but maybe the household can't afford that, and that's not an appropriate surprise.
Because it would be surprise your man cave is where the living nanny stays now.
Woo, child. That seems very
you
upsetting.
You say, wait, who's that?
Yeah, that seems like that's not acceptable to surprise someone with that. But there's a lot to learn and live in life. So yeah, I say no surprise, but yes to the live-in nanny if this is a legitimate offer here. Yeah.
Legitimate it has to be. What do nannies do?
Of course.
This is a nanny.
Yes, but what I'm suggesting,
are you trying to suggest nannies aren't always necessary nannies?
I am not suggesting that. What I'm saying is people aren't always on the up and up.
Well, that's a true statement.
So people aren't always on the up and up. So that's just, I'm just always curious around intentionality and behaviors. That's all.
Because has it ever happened in human existence that a nanny has wanted to become a sister wife? That's the question that would have to be answered.
I think there's a lot of scenarios that can happen within different people in the household.
But have you think that that's ever happened? A nanny wanted to become a sister wife?
Yeah, I think that's possible, depending upon in a Mormonish maybe culture, or
they would start with a nanny though,
or potential. I'm not sure. We'd have to.
I thought it was a whole thing.
I just think that like I said, people and behavior similar to scenario 1. I don't think it's an automatic that people automatically want to go step outside of their relationship. But what I do think is a reality is that a lot of times people are not always satisfied in every aspect of their life. And when there are scenarios that allow for more satisfaction, people will jump towards satisfaction.
Okay. You're not satisfied not having help with taking care of the children.
But it might not end there is what I'm suggesting. The help might continue on. And
you don't need anyone. You got help with the children, and then the person needs to live their life. The nanny got to live life too, so you can't take the nanny's time.
They do.
Yes.
Answer the question.
See, you watch too much of those shows and things. You watch a lot of that entertainment.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
They get these
get those ideas flowing in your head.
Yep.
And it's different than this
A
scenario.
little bit different, yeah.
Because this scenario is just, it's presented in the most wholesome, hearty way.
So it's a legitimate offer. Excellent.
Yeah, it's
Excellent.
definitely
Yeah.
legitimate.
Okay.
So, I mean, the surprising thing is that's a dangerous thing because the husband might say, hey, I mean, I was going to have my mom help me out. And then you brought the dad that it wasn't really
That's
the right
interesting.
way to go because you had another way to get help with these children. So, yeah, surprising with the nanny. I don't think that's going to work. I think you do need to discuss it, but I think you should definitely talk about having help either way. If it's a nanny or a family member, just somebody should come in and help because 5 kids and one person, I don't care if it's a man, woman, or who raising them children. You need some help. 5 children? Come on. There's no way you can watch 5 and you have this new one. I don't know what the ages of the children are too. I mean, that can make it even harder. But 5 kids, you need help.
Especially imagine if they were all under the age of 5. Woo! Child.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. Yeah, we don't know what the circumstances. And yeah, it is definitely possible. But definitely get help and don't feel bad about it. That's a lot of kids.
It's a reality. Yeah. Absolutely. And with that, let's be legitimate in life. And
but should we be on the up and up?
Yeah, no sketch.
All right.
And we are at that time again. It's coming to the end of our 297th episode of Woke and Free. Quite the episode discussing the truth about being a stay-at-home dad. Now, what do folks need to do, Khalil?
Come back next week for the new Woke and Free Wednesday episode. Make sure you follow us on social media to follow along in the conversation, and make sure you tune in next week for Woke and Free Wednesday. Join the conversation at WokeNFree.com.
Absolutely. And if you'd like to share a topic for consideration or just want to connect and share your story, we'd love to hear from you on our Contact Us page at WokeNFree.com. That's WokenFree.com. And for social media, I'll say it again, you can always connect and find us and follow and subscribe to all our different channels. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest, and LinkedIn at Woke and Free. And all sponsorship and collaboration queries, hit us up on our Contact Us page at WokenFree.com.
If you didn't already subscribe, please do share the episode and make sure you come back to join the conversation every Wednesday for Woke and Free Wednesdays. Remember, Woke and Free is more than a podcast. It is a way of life. Till next time.